Are you ready for Christmas? You did not mishear me. That is my question for you. Are you ready for Christmas? Are you ready for the holidays? I know that sounds totally coconuts for me to ask. It is November 10th, but I am asking you, are you ready for Christmas? Are you ready for the holidays? And like I said, I know it's crazy, but I am a planner. I have been a planner for a long time. I love planning things. I also love the wonderful time of year between Christmas and Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. I absolutely love that time of year. And I used to spend a lot of that time of year running around like a crazy person. I come from families who live all over the place, and so not only was I trying to squeeze as much in as I possibly could, but I was Christmas shopping and I was doing this and that and all this craziness. And that was before I had kids. That was like when it was just me or myself and my boyfriend, now husband. And it was insane, right? So I was just like nuts and I loved it, but it was really stressful. I mean, there was more than one Christmas Eve that I was in a mall shopping. Which is not really ideal for really fostering the holiday spirit. Oh, I'm sorry, in a mall shopping on Christmas Eve. That's the important part of that. And some point, I changed that. And I'm not going to talk about the sort of planning of gift giving because that's kind of a whole other topic. But I am going to talk today about what I think are some good tips to do for making your holiday season more enjoyable. And the biggest thing that you need to do, and we'll get into details, but the biggest thing to do is plan. And I'll be honest, I do a lot of planning. I do a lot of holiday prepping in November when it's not quite as busy, so that I can just straight up enjoy the holiday season. So that I can, every single night when my kids want to drive and look at Christmas lights, I can do it. I can drive and look at Christmas lights. We can spend our time reading Christmas books. That's what I want to be doing, right? I want to try like 98 kinds of hot chocolate. I want to be spending time with my kids, spending time with our families, doing fun things. I don't want to be worrying about and stressing about the holidays. So what that means for me is planning ahead. And I have two big sort of bonus tips about it. We're going to talk about sort of the main areas of planning that I think help you have a more enjoyable holiday season. It's silly to say that you can plan so you can be spur of the moment, but that's really my goal, is that I can plan so that I can spend a Saturday night curled up on my sofa watching a Hallmark Christmas movie or Christmas Vacation and don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have so much I need to be doing. So like I said, I plan so I can relax. And we're going to talk about the main areas to plan. We're going to talk about some family tips, some personal things, some relationship things that you might want to think about, money, and of course, one of my favorite topics, health and being healthy. And we're going to talk a little bit about those things. But first, I want to give one of my favorite sort of bonus tips. I have two bonus tips. So this is the first one. Start a journal or a notebook, or I prefer like just a Google Doc. And when you come across, throughout the year, you're going to come across ideas of things you want to do for the holidays, or this year, you might come across things that you want to do next year for the holidays. And of course, my biggest friend when it's collecting ideas, if it's on the internet, is to use Pinterest, right? So I have a cookie swapping board on Pinterest. I have, because I go to at least 2 cookie swaps a year, I have a Thanksgiving food board on Pinterest, right? So I have these different boards on Pinterest, and I can throw things in there throughout the season. And that's all well and good if you actually go back to those boards before the beginning of the following season so that you're ready, so that you know what you're going to do. Because I used to, and I still do it of course, but I try to avoid it, have this where I would see an idea and I'd be like, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that next year. And the next year would come and go and it'd be like December 27th. And I was like, oh, that's right. I was going to do whatever it is that I was going to do. So one thing I like to do is this time of year, spend a little time with Pinterest and either set up a board for things that you're going to do this year, or just grab that Google Doc, which is what I often do, and write, figure out what I want to do this year. And I kind of keep the Google Doc open all year long because if someone else does something, if I run into somebody and they say, oh, for the holidays, we always do, we always go caroling or something. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like so much fun. How do you make it work? What do you do? And they say, oh, we go to a local retirement home and we go caroling and it's really fun. And so then I can make a note like, okay, come October or November, check into the local caroling thing. And they might say, oh, you have to do it in September. For example, our family likes to go on a train ride, a candy cane train ride. It's really fun. We go with the kids, of course. Pretty much everyone's there with kids. And you actually have to sign up in like September or August for this. It's out of control. So that's something I might just put on the Google Doc, just so that I can like remember to do it for the following year. And because the last thing I want to do is wait till the last minute and then not be able to fit it in, or worse yet, it's not that bad if you can't do it. Worse yet is you try to squeeze it in when you really can't squeeze it in, or the only time left is, the only time they have available on the train for a family of 5 is nap time or something. And you're just like, I guess we're going to do it. So once again, planning means ahead of time means that you can actually have more fun during the holidays. So that's my one tip, right? So use Pinterest, set up boards, come look at my boards if you want. But have like a journal or a Google Doc or something where you just throw in ideas and you go back to them. Even if they have like timelines, deadlines, like I have to get this done by a certain time. So first things first, do you have like a Pinterest board for the holidays? Do you have like favorite things? Do you do something every year? I would love for you to let me know what you do, because I'm always looking for good ideas. So anyway, that is number one. That is my first bonus tip, right? So that is my first bonus tip. But let's talk a little bit about the other things that we're going to be doing. And this is sort of just a launch video because I'm going to be hopping on Facebook Live for the next few weeks, going over tips and tricks to hopefully make the holidays less stressful and easier and more enjoyable for you. That is the goal, right? To have more fun with your friends and your family and not look back and go, oh my gosh, I spent all my time being stressed out and I didn't do what I wanted to do and I didn't enjoy it. So I like to think about let's think about what I really want to do, right? So we have family things that I want to get done, family things I want to do together. I have to decide ahead of time, do I want to wrap presents with my kids? Was that a good experience for them? Do I want to decorate the Christmas tree with my kids? Is that a good experience, right? So you kind of have to balance will this be enjoyable or will this totally stress all of us out, right? So I have learned that wrapping presents with my kids around is an incredibly stressful experience and I don't do it. But decorating the Christmas tree, if we do it in can be really fun. And of course they want to decorate the Christmas tree, so we do that. Present wrapping, I save for myself and a Christmas movie and a glass of wine, which is one of my favorite nights, which leads me to sort of the personal side of things. There are things that I really want to make sure that I do around Christmas. I like to get a pedicure. As kind of a treat to myself right before the holidays, right before Christmas, so I can I've made it. We've done all this amazing family stuff, and now I want my toes to look pretty. It's silly, but it's something that I really like doing. I really like to read certain books around the holidays. Pride and Prejudice and Little Women are my two favorite books to read around the holidays. Yay for Pride and Prejudice this year because I'm in a book club that it's going to be read, so I'm psyched about that. But those are kind of personal things that I just want to be I want to remember to read Pride and Prejudice before December 18th. And why I associate that book with Christmas, I have absolutely no idea, but nonetheless I do. I think there's no mention of Christmas in the book. But those are personal things. So those are things that I want to do for me. Other things could be like a cookie swap in an organization that I'm part of, which, by the way, we're not going to talk about it now, but think about the organizations that you're part of. Are there events? Are there Santa breakfasts? Are there holiday events that you want to be a part of? So things to think about. Likewise, relationships, right? Are you in a relationship? Do you and your husband always try to go on a date? Does it get squished in on the 27th because you can't find time any other time? If that's cool with you, awesome, right? My husband and I are big into day dating. And when I say big into it, I mean we do it like once every 6 months. But that's cool. That's about how often we can get out right these days. But we love to go on a day date. So right now we're looking at the calendar in December and we're trying to just keep in the back of our heads, because we really can't plan too far in advance with either of our jobs, to just have some time where we can go into New York City and get hot chocolate and watch the ice skaters. We're not even gonna try to ice skate. Like, we're tired, we're parents, we have 3 little boys. Like, we're really just gonna go and like watch people ice skate and drink hot chocolate, perhaps eat some cupcakes or something. But we're looking forward to that, and we're trying to find the time. And like I said, it's gonna be kind of last minute. That's really the only thing I'd like to do during the holidays. You know, it's mostly a family time for us, and that works for me. The other thing is money. We're gonna talk a little bit about this, but we are gonna talk about money, and we're gonna talk about what you can do to save money, where you wanna put value, right? So we stick to a pretty tight budget for our family when it comes to Christmas gifts. Not tight, that's an exaggeration. But we do try to pay attention to how much we spend. And we don't spend a lot on ourselves, and we don't spend a lot on our little guys. But we do like to buy gifts for our nieces and nephews, and that's important to us. And so, you know, we have to keep track of money that way. And then lastly, my favorite thing to talk about is health and making sure that you're feeling good. So I think some people say, you know what, I'm off from Thanksgiving to Christmas, and that's just the way it is. And if I gain 5 pounds, so be it. Bully to you. That's awesome. Other people say, I am locked in. I have lost the weight, or I feel good, or I'm training for this, or I'm training for that, and I am locked in, and I don't care it's Christmas, right? I don't care it's the holidays. I don't care about Thanksgiving. I am locked in. And that's great for you too. I think most of us are somewhere in the middle. Like, I really am going to try not to gain weight. I'm going to try not just gain weight, but like, if I eat too much sugar, I get irritable, I get cranky, my temper's shorter. So I really need to pay attention, just for like the well-being of myself and everyone around me. I need to pay attention to not eating too much sugar. Now, of course, I eat cookies, but maybe like not every day of the week, just like the day of the cookie swap and the day after, or something like that. You know, and I love to bake, so I have to like figure out who I can bake for so I can bake and not eat it all. But it's a matter of finding a balance. I know that I don't miss workouts during the holidays, because I don't ever miss workouts, because those things are non-negotiable for me. I know most people aren't like that. So if that's not your tendency, but you want to make sure you exercise during the holidays, then we need to figure out a plan for you to make sure that you can fit it in, so that you're not disappointed, so you don't fall off track. But it's really just a matter of all of this is figuring out a plan for your family, for your personal self, for your relationships, financially, for your health. Figure out a plan that you are then able to actually make happen, because plans are only good if you actually can make them happen. And it's great to be aspirational, but it's also I think more important to be realistic with what you can do. So that being said, I have another bonus tip at the end of this. And my bonus tip is, and this is something I learned from someone else, so I can't take credit for it, but I think it's a really great idea. So we all have things that are really important to us to do during the holidays. And if there is more than one of you, right? If you are married or in a relationship, or have tight with your family, or you have little kids or big kids, any size kids, we all have these things that they become traditions, right? Well, every year we do X, Y, or Z. Every year, the day after Thanksgiving, we do this. Every day, that Saturday after Thanksgiving, we do this. This is how we get our Christmas tree. This is where we go to Santa. Whatever it is, this is what we always do. And the thing is, I think a lot of times we always do those things because we always do those things, not necessarily because we really want to do them. And so what I suggest, and like I said, I've learned this from somebody else, I think it's a great idea, is to kind of recap with your family or your spouse what it is that you really want to do. What are the top 3 things that you want to do this year that if you don't do it, you'll look back on Christmas and think, oh, we didn't do that. That was really disappointing. And then just do those. So if you have a family and you have people that can write things down, ask them to write. And I say if you have asked people, my kids don't write yet, like on their own. But you can help them. But everybody write down the 3 things that they feel like if you don't do during the holidays. Maybe it's a race, like I'm doing a donut run. I'm super psyched about it. Maybe it's a run you do every year. Maybe it's going to see them blow up the balloons on Thanksgiving. Whatever it is, write those 3 things down that if you don't do them, you won't feel like it was really the holidays. And just do those. Because what will happen is, and you'll find this, there are things that you always do, or your family always does, because you always have to do it. And if you look at the list, like, it's not on anyone's list. It's not a must-do on anyone's list. Right now, for example, our family, we tend to traipse out like an hour away to get a tree, and we saw it down, and it's really fun, and the kids like it. But I mean, come on, it's an hour. Then we have to find the tree we want, which takes a long time. Then my poor husband is on the ground sawing. Fortunately, I'm not going to be pregnant this year. I can help him a little bit. But I mean, it's a process. And I kind of think at some point the boys are just going to be like, can we just go to the lot over there and then like hang out? And maybe that'll be it. Or maybe you make a huge, huge Christmas Eve dinner, right? And it's a disaster because you're running to church and you make Christmas Eve dinner and you're running around and and you're like, what if we just had Chinese food? Enjoy Chinese food, go to Christmas Eve. So the point is to do things that you think that really are important to you, not the things that you just think are important to you. So that being said, I am hoping to come back. I'm hoping to hear from you. Like, what are your family's favorite traditions? What do you do year after year? And what do you do to make your holiday season less stressful, right? Because that is the magic key. What can you do to make the holiday season less stressful for you? And that's what we're going to talk about. So 2 favors from you. The first favor is if you have a friend that's like a really good holiday planner, tag them on this post because I want to hear from them, right? I want to hear them. I want to know their bonus tips. So my bonus tip was at the beginning and the end of this video. I want to know what their bonus tips are. And then the last thing is I'm going to be posting videos over the next few weeks all about this kind of thing. All about tips for tricks with the family, tricks with maybe some money tricks, my sort of gift giving plan, and lots of health tips. So go back to the video, go up and set your little notifications so you see when I'm on and when I have a new video so you don't miss any. So that is about it. That's a wrap. So the whole name of the game is being ready for Christmas as soon as possible so you can spend as much time as possible doing whatever it is you want. And that's about all. Live your imagined life, right? I hope you have a wonderful night. Bye.